Welcome back everyone, I'm Keegan, and today you are watching part 3 in my reflections on FromSoftware games. If you haven't seen my other two videos on Demon Souls or Bloodborne, you can click somewhere up here. For now, let's break down Dark Souls 3. Alright, I know I talked a lot of hype with Bloodborne, but this game right here, Dark Souls 3, is probably my all-time favorite. And not just in the Soulsborne series, but out of all games, this is definitely one of my favorites. I don't know if it's just because it was the first Souls game I'd ever really played, or if it's actually just that good. But with that, let's dive into what I think makes this such a great experience. The first thing that happens when you boot up the game is this screen. Filled with this extremely epic but also somewhat sad music. You know immediately that this game is the culmination of all prior Dark Souls games. Everything has been leading right up to this moment. The grandiose nature of the game is reflected every time a cutscene is displayed. The movements of the characters are always slow, deliberate, and just feel tired. The bosses and creatures in this game have been doing the same crap for eons, and they have completely lost themselves, but yet they continue to fight, and every time you kill one, it almost feels merciful. I am by no means a lore buff, but even I understand all this just from the visuals throughout the game. The storytelling is so unique in this game that it doesn't need to exactly say anything, but yet just show it. Almost every line of dialogue that is given is so deliberate that you can find extraordinary meaning behind every word. The level design, although perhaps not quite as good as Bloodborne, is still very intricate and well connected. And the landscapes, especially in Orlando, are just absolutely beautiful. The PvP for a Souls game I don't think has actually been done better than in this game, and to this day it's still fairly active community of PvPers running around. The messaging system was also one of my favorites, getting to put together such a wide range of statements and templates. There were a ton of weapons, some may say too many, and heck, maybe even I say too many, but with as many useless weapons as there were, I think there was also a bunch of completely viable weapons too. I never felt like I had to use a certain type of weapon to complete any of the content in the game or in PvP. The bosses overall I think are the best part of Dark Souls 3. The movesets are all so different and they force you to learn what makes each of those bosses so special. The boss that gave me the toughest time in the base game I think was Champion Gundyr. He wasn't the boss that took the longest to beat, but he was the boss that I could not figure out how to ever beat without parrying. His movements, reactions, and gap-closing mechanics gave me no time to retreat or heal without getting a parry in. And Dark Eater Midir, I think, was the hardest from the DLCs too. I did learn his mechanics well enough that now I think going back he actually wouldn't take me the longest in the game, but I think at the time, for first playthroughs, he probably took me the longest. I wish I didn't have to worry about equipment burn still, but at least I think it does have a place in this game due to being able to respec. And speaking of respecking, I love that this game allows me to do it, unlike some of the other titles in this genre. Looking at you, Demon Souls and Bloodborne. Especially as a new player that is learning the game, there's no way I'm going to be able to choose all the correct attributes out of the gate. And I think it's nice that once I was further into the game and started to understand how everything works, I was able to go correct some of the dumb points that I may have done during the beginning of the game. For example, I may have realized a little too late that I was a strength build and all those points I threw into intelligence weren't helping me too much. It really made it feel so that I wasn't pigeonholed throughout the game, and I really appreciate not learning at the end of the game that I messed up, or in the middle of the game that I should have done something differently. Being in Ember form throughout this game was fun, but I'm fairly certain that this game only has people invade your world after you've already used most of your Estus and only have half a bar of health left. Tell me I'm wrong. Gotta love invasions though. Once you've been playing for a while, eventually though, you realize that losing your souls is just part of the game actually. They're an infinite resource, and once you get that, exploring and dying are just part of the games, and you actually end up enjoying this kind of stuff along the ride. It's what makes it so memorable. All games have their flaws, or things that just plain annoy me though, and this game is no exception. Starting off with what I think might be the biggest one, the toughest boss in this game, by far, is the freaking camera. Two of the best examples of this are Nameless King Phase 1 and Lothric and Lorien. I could never find that stupid dragon's head, and every time Lothric and Lorien teleported away from me, I would lose them completely and then just get blasted from his damn Kamehameha wave in the back. Eventually, I did get someone to help me for the Lothric fight because I just got fed up with not ever being able to find him after he teleported. Nameless King Phase 2 may have just been my favorite fight in the whole game though. I don't think there's hardly anything to complain about in that phase because of how much fun I had in it, even after countless losses and heartbreaking defeats with 1 HP left on the boss. The other thing I didn't like was generally the way magic was handled. I didn't find it very fun since it felt so weak until you got to a higher level, and by that point, I was already spec'd in a quality build of some sort and didn't really want to go and respec everything for a magic build at the end of the game. Maybe it would have been okay for PvP, but I think generally for the game it was underutilized. I think they went a little overboard on the nerfs to it from previous games since it had been so overpowered in previous games. Elden Ring though looks like magic will be an essential part of the game, and I can't wait to make my battle mage character. There are also some areas in this game that I think are very forgettable, such as right outside the cleansing chapel. You have all these skeletons that are constantly respawning, and they're really annoying to fight. So as a player, you don't really spend any time to explore and look around. Mostly you just run through as fast as you can, grab any items, and get away as fast as possible. The last con I have, and I'm not even really sure if this is a con because I understand it was an intentional point in the game and intentionally how they made it, but the side quests. They were so obscure and you could miss them so easily that I ended up missing pretty much every single one. And it wasn't until I watched a playthrough of someone else and I saw all these other things you could do and places you can go and even optional bosses that I wish there was a little bit more heads up when a side quest is available. I kind of understand that a lot of people might disagree with me on that because it's kind of like an Easter egg, since most of it is story related anyway, and not really gameplay related, but I would have liked to be able to save Henri by killing that stupid guy disguised as a freaking statue in the corner, and yeah, maybe I'm still a little bit bitter about that one stupid side quest where one of my favorite characters died, and I couldn't save her. I always loved doing the side quests, but in this series, it's just so hard to figure out where the side quests are and who you're supposed to talk to and when you're supposed to talk to them, and you can talk to them too early or too late or not enough, and that kind of stuff. Just, I ended up talking to everybody every chance I got, but I think that ended up hurting me in a lot of cases too, because then I would talk to them before they were supposed to be talked to, and I would start some other chain reaction down the line. Overall, though, I don't have any more cons for this game. I'm interested if anyone out there is able to think of any cons with the games that I didn't touch on. Of all the Souls games, this is definitely the one I have the most time in, and it's the one I actually recommend for any new players looking to get into a Souls game. I think it really exemplifies everything that a Souls game should be. For now, though, that's going to wrap up my analysis of Dark Souls 3. Please join us next time for my last installment on Sekiro. This is Keegan signing off, and I will see you guys in the next one.